All right, so what are you doing?
Putting the broth in that I had already boiled the chicken, deboned it, put the broth in a different bowl, chicken in a different one, and put him in the fridge overnight. Now I'm mixing it together. I'm going to add a couple of cans of cream of chicken soup.
Daisy likes dumplings too.
Yeah, she knows there's chickens going on. Okay, now just going to add some water and let it all be heating. Now, I think I'm going to make a regular recipe is 3 cups. That's what my mother did. But I'm going to make 6 because I take a lot to neighbors and people. So I'm going to measure out 6 cups of flour. But if you're making for just a family, 3 cups is enough. It was for my mother. I guess I'll leave this in because I won't make it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Get another spoon. Okay. Now I'm just going to, I don't measure the salt, I just put it in. Because you're going to have to add, it takes a lot of salt. Same with the pepper. Just mix it together. Add like just about that much baking powder. I don't know how much that is, but
Looks like maybe a teaspoon.
about a teaspoon maybe. So I've got the salt, the baking powder, and the pepper, and I'm just mixing it together dry. Then I take shortening. My mother always said about the size, when you boil an egg, about the size of the yellow.
Is that for a single batch or double batch?
For a single batch, it'd be about, but I'm gonna put 2 of them because I'm making double.
What is that?
It's shortening, about the size of a boiled egg, yellow.
Is it lard or is it?
It's Crisco, you know. It's not lard. I don't know anybody uses lard anymore.
So it's Crisco,
Yeah, just
the baking stick.
just short. That's what I use. But you can do that, and then you just knead it together until it's mixed real well. It's very easy. This is a very easy thing to do. this is where it's the water is. All it is salt, pepper, flour, shortening, and a little baking powder. Very inexpensive. Okay, now I'm going to measure the water because we're doing this, but normally I don't. It takes a lot of water. Here's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to stop and stir.
So that's 3 cups.
That's 3 cups right there, but I'm going to add more, I would imagine. But maybe not. Goodness, I got a hat because for it. I do have to add a little more. Let's see, maybe. Maybe a half a cup. See if that's enough. Yeah, it's gonna be.
So if that's the case, then a single batch would be about a cup, one and 3/4 cup of water.
But you just want it. This, will it pick it up?
Yeah.
This is the consistency of the dough when you roll it out. I like to use paper towels. You can do the pastry thing if you want, but I don't want to clean it up. Mother always used wax paper. And I never tear them the same size. It takes a lot of flour. Get my rolling pin. Just take a little batch like that, put it in this flour, and you just start kneading it. Because you want it tough, but you see the texture of it. Might want to just do a couple of these and then cut it off. Well, because it's the same thing. But this is the main thing, is to have plenty of flour. Roll it out as thin as you want. You can have them thicker or thinner. I like them thin and they're tough. Because you have very little baking powder in them. They look like this.
So how thick is that? Probably about 1/8 of an inch.
Uh-huh. You can make them thicker or thinner, whatever you want to do. I need my pizza cutter. There it is. I like to use a pizza cutter. You can buy pastry cutters that have the little ridges and everything, and I have one, but I prefer this. You just cut it, and you don't have to worry about what size, because they're all different lengths, because anything that, then you just tear it apart and drop it in. If you can have a pot like this, the deep pot gets so hot in the bottom that you have to stir it a lot more to keep it from sticking. Then you have to be careful if it's deep and you stir it, because it's hot down there and it'll pop up, and it's real bad to pop up and burn you. I've done that several times.
you just keep doing the same
Keep doing
thing
the
till you're
same.
done.
Uh-huh. That's what I said. You won't need to. You just keep doing this until you've got all the dough rolled out and torn apart and put in there. Then you cook it. It probably has to cook about an hour and a half. I do not put the chicken in till these are done, because I found that if you go and put the chicken in, it gets stringy. The chicken does. So I let these get done before, and it takes about like I said, about an hour and a half.
What kind of temperature you cooking these at?
I don't know.
Is it boiling when you're cooking?
Yeah, well, I turn it down real low.
After you get it
After
up
get
to...
them going. Right now it's on high because it's heating. But then I'll turn it down to about the medium, but low. A little bit below the medium, which would be on this one put it probably on like a 5. Because you want to cook it slow, but you don't want to stick it. So it's on. You can just kind of judge. Sometimes I'll turn it a lot lower if I just don't care how long it takes.
Is there anything else in there besides the broth for seasoning
Cream of chicken soup.
and the cream of chicken soup?
Yeah,
That's it?
it's the broth from the chicken, and I use 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. A lot of people don't.
Now, if you're just doing a single batch, do you do
I
two?
use 1 can.
1 can, okay.
You know, what I'm doing is a double recipe here. So it'd be 1 can. It'd be your broth from your chicken. You need to fry it. To me, people will buy all kind of stuff to do that. The chicken already cooked and that kind of stuff. But I get a large fryer and boil it. Boil it. Usually I boil it. Sometimes when I come in, I boil it, put it in the freezer. And that way most of the work is done. But with this, I just cooked it yesterday and put it in the refrigerator overnight. Debone it, put it in the refrigerator.
You add any seasoning to the chicken?
Yeah, salt and pepper. There's only salt and peppers on things added to any of this. Okay, now it's beginning to boil. So I'm gonna stir it. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit, like that.
When you get done, you're going to cover it?
Yeah,
How often do you stir it?
probably. Oh, pretty often, probably every 10 minutes or so.
Every 10?
10, 15. It's according to how fast I want to cook it. You just don't want it to, if it sticks to the bottom, it won't burn necessarily, but it gets tough, and whatever sticks, you have to throw away. Because it's just, turns brown stuck together. So you want to stir it and keep enough water in it. You have to keep, now this won't be enough liquid. It'll cook away, boil into it, and I'll have to add more water. Should have had Brandy come in here and make them, really. Because that's how LaRue has come and made them.
I think with the video we can figure it out pretty easy.
Yeah, you're seeing it. See, that's the thing, you guys, because the water is the main, the texture of it. Because if you get too much water, it gets too thin. Well, then you just have to work a lot more flour in it.
But if we do 6 cups, then we just put 3.5 cups of water in it. We should be good.
It should be good.
And 3 cups, put a cup and 3/4.
Yeah, and that should be good. But if it's not, you just add a little water. Just watch it as you're adding, and you may have to add a little more water. I mean, it's not a real rigid. But it goes a long way, feeds a lot of people, and a lot of people really like them.
It seems to be a favorite around here.
Yeah, it is. In the church, it really is. I'm known.
This was Grandma Ruth's recipe.
Yeah. Only she used 3 cups of flour, 1 egg, shortened like an egg. She just used a teaspoon of salt, and I don't know how in the world, because it's not. I mean, it's just flour and water, so it takes a lot of salt to season that. And I don't know how with 3 cups she had as many as we had to feed the whole family. Of course, with this, I do a lot of feeding. I'm gonna take some to Doc, I'll take some to Betty, take some to Mac Richardson. So I never make just a normal recipe. Turn the heat back up because it added water to quit boiling. And I just drop it around so it won't kind of stick together. This is the first time we've ever videoed it. But that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's so easy now, all these
Yeah, and
phones.
I can just, and if you send it to me, if you can send it to me, then I can just send it to somebody.
What I'll do is I'll put it on my server, so it's going to be a large file, and then I'll send you a link,
Oh, okay.
and then you can just email the link to anybody that wants it, and then they can just download it and watch it.
Because I try to tell people how to make it, make them. But normally I don't measure anything except the flour.
Everybody wants dumplings. Say, hey, just watch the video, make it yourself.
That's right. Tell Matt, make your own dumplings. This don't seem to be as much as I normally make.
Yeah, they seem to swell up.
Yeah. Fortunately, I don't have to take them anywhere but to Doc Rhodes besides us.
Well, he's the only one on the list today.
Yeah, I'm not obligated. I may do more if I got a bunch. It still seem like I've got it. I may pile those cups up where it says that's the number of cups, and a lot of times I'll make 8 cups. But that's just a lot of dumplings to have to get rid of. But I'll take them to about 5 different houses.
All the old people.
Mm-hmm. 3 other people I used to take around here, they've all died. Raylene, Dr. Barnett's wife, and Thelma Howell, and Harry Almany.
So it works out to about 0.6 cups of water per cup of flour.
Oh, okay.
So if you add more.
Well, I usually use like sometimes 8 cups of flour.
Yeah, we usually make fairly large batches of stuff when we do it.
But I don't, and I don't measure the water. I just keep running water in it and stirring it till it's right. But you can have to, in fact, I think the last time I made them when you were here, I wound up throwing some away. Because we just didn't eat them all. There was too many. I was going to throw some away one day, and I called Mac, and I told Carolyn, I said, Carolyn, I've got dumplings, and I'm fixing to throw out because they've been refrigerated for a couple of days, and I don't want them. And, well, he was over here in about 10 minutes. He takes all the leftover dumplings.
So how long can you keep them refrigerated and they stay good?
Oh, I guess, 2 or 3 or 4 days.
So the main thing would be the chicken, how long it lasts before it spoils.
I just never have that because it's gone. I make this. This is Christmas Eve. as much dough and stuff this time as I normally do.
Yeah, we'll see once they swell up.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not obligated to take them to anybody, so it's just us and Doc Rhodes.
You promised him yesterday.
Yes,
So.
I did. But he told me at her funeral, at her visitation, I said, well, I was coming next week with Dumplings to see Joanne, and I said, so I guess, and he said, oh, that was Joanne, and I thought, well, by that, well, he doesn't care for them. Well, that's okay, you know.
Yeah.
So I asked him yesterday, I said, now you don't really care for Dumplings, do you? What do you mean I don't care for them? I told him what he said. He said, well, I can take them or leave them, but Joanne was just livid about it. She loved them. So I said, okay, I'll bring you some then. I usually keep a chicken in the freezer, cooked, cut up.
You use the whole chicken, all parts of it?
Uh-huh. And I like the big fryers because they have more broth. A lot of times that's why people don't like chicken and dumplings is if they don't add any canned soup and they've used a little bitty chicken, you have very little broth.
I wonder if box of chicken broth would do
It
the
would.
same.
It'd be fine. But I just like cream of chicken soup. But you could buy the box broth. But I don't know if you use the box broth and a small fryer that didn't have a, I don't know how that would be.
Yeah, we buy those chickens at Sam's Club,
Yeah.
Costco, and Brandy freezes the
Lot of
chicken
people-
carcasses,
Uh-huh.
and then she'll boil them all down to make chicken broth.
Well, see, that might be great for this if you have enough of them.
Yeah, just leftovers, and she uses it for
But when you
dog.
were little one time, younger, you weren't little, but you were, and I made the remark, I said, we don't even really need the chicken since I learned about the cream of chicken soup. So I didn't use chicken that time. I just used cream of chicken soup, and you told me it just wasn't the same. I remember that. And I told you, yeah, you're right, it's not. So I didn't do it anymore. Cole hasn't come.
Probably better since we're filming a cooking episode.
He would be, he would be here under my feet like she is, just in case.
That's my brother and sister-in-law's dog. He comes over, stays here whenever they're working.
Yeah, this is doggy daycare.
He loves to come over here, but he also loves to go home.
Just tear them all sizes. Doesn't matter. toss them in.
So how do you know when they're done?
I taste them. You can tell.
Yeah, they are kind of hard to chew when they're
Yeah.
before they're completely cooked.
They're tough. They're not a lot of people like the canned biscuits and roll them out and all that. They like the fluffier. These are the old-fashioned kind that all the grandmas made, and they're tough. Some people I know one woman that did, instead of adding as much water, she poured the chicken broth and mixed the chicken with the chicken broth. But I didn't see any need to do that. You'd have to have a lot more broth.
Yeah, you'd probably have to
Yeah.
use a box of them. That's going to add a lot of salt.
Uh-huh. She said, oh, I use my chicken broth to mix instead of water. But I made them like my mama, and this is how my mama made them. Okay, that's it.
All done?
That's about the way they look.
All right.
And they'll cook for about an hour and a half with me stirring every little while. I'll probably have to add a little more water. Then when they're done, I'll put the chicken in. But that's what they look like. That's it.
Voila.
Yep.